Alright, this is gonna be quick. Jenny's not here, but she just sent me all the stuff that you guys need to sign. There's 2 lien releases that we have to do for 61, and then there's just a motor vehicle and the statutory exemption, highlight, that's it.
Yeah.
And then, well, we'll do that first, then we can, you guys get questions and stuff, so.
Chrissy's listening, there's no pens out here.
Well, no shit, oh, you need pens? You need everything, we're candy, what do you want? I don't know where the pens are. You got
I
one?
see a whole bunch of them on her desk.
Let me see if I can.
He's prepared.
Was you parking the van when I called you? Sounded like you were in traffic.
No. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. They're right around the corner at the window.
I was at
I have to borrow them all the
I
time.
was there with the dog, I was at home.
Oh,
I was there with the dog.
Coyote's got the little goat.
Found it.
They're final remains of, my cousin heard them,
Oh, you heard
whole
him?
pack of them.
Oh, okay.
So how many would you, well,
Huh?
how many goats would you have?
Well, I had 5.
Yeah.
5 goats, 5
No,
sheep.
will you have? How many will you have?
Probably, 10, 12, no. Yeah, there's money in them things.
Yeah?
Yeah, the Arabs like them. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because my youngest daughter, now, this is gonna sound disgusting, and I've got a picture of it if you wanna see how disgusting it is, but she was on a food tour the other day and she tried some kind of gland that's in a sheep's brain.
What country was she in?
She's in Spain right now.
Okay,
Both of my kids are in Spain this week. They're doing a little traveling.
tour.
So she was on a food tour and she tried, it's a some kind of a gland, it's in the side of the sheep's brain. There was a I don't know how much of it she ate, but she says it wasn't all that bad. I mean, you go to these countries and they have,
Whatever they can eat.
yeah, armpit of a pig, she also had that too.
It's not so much what it is, it's how you,
Probably tastes like bacon, who
it's
knows?
how you prepare it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Alright, the only other thing we've gotta talk about, and you're the one that brought it up, and I did as much research as I could find, is we can start with the, 56 Gardner Road, the marijuana facility. You want to discuss that a little bit?
Go, you lead.
Alright, so what I found is that I had my boss, Dave, do a satellite, research on it. The only new building on the site is that greenhouse.
Which
It-
side,
it-
which side are we talking about? We talking about the stove shop?
50, yeah, the old stove shop.
The old stove shop,
This is
okay.
what you asked about, so I'm
Okay.
just trying to respond to your questions.
Okay,
I'm not exactly sure what the questions were, except that you wanted to discuss them, that's about it, so I figured I'd try to get as much information as I could for the time being.
How's that get taxed? I mean,
So, alright, so right now, the property is, and I printed the cards out for you guys. These are the cards on the property. They get assessed as the buildings are and the land. And apparently there's an agreement between the selectmen and them as far as a percentage of the sales of the marijuana, which I'm not aware of, I don't have any information on that. They have started to do that in terms of harvesting, but they have not sold anything yet. So there's no revenue that's come in as of, and I just talked to Sandy about that this morning.
yeah,
So there will be revenue coming in, I'm not sure how the agreement works, she didn't know how it works, I couldn't get any information.
that's why all them cars are down there the other day, the pickers,
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's coming, but I don't have anything else. The only thing that I have on it at this point is, and I've been there before, I haven't been there recently, but the old stove shop as you talked about.
Yep.
And then there was the building that's right next to it that the Erickson was, I don't know if he was living in it or if he had another building or another business going there, but at one time there was the two businesses, now it's all one complex. And they've got the,
They own the gray house too?
it's, yeah, there's 3 buildings, including the, but what Dave was telling me about the new greenhouse building, that building is considered personal.
Hold on, the greenhouse I think was across the street.
No,
No,
No.
a big one, this one is plastic.
no, it's in back, it's plastic with like a metal tubular frame,
Okay,
okay? That doesn't get counted and assessed as a building.
Right.
It's personal property, so,
have we done have we assessed any of that property for taxable purposes?
yeah, well, it's, the property is, we're getting taxed, we're getting assessed on that now.
He's getting assessed on it, okay.
Yes, he is. We will be able to get more once they start actually selling the harvest.
Okay,
I just don't know what that agreement is,
okay.
and I think that's the biggest thing that you were,
How about the place across the street? I think
That-
that was another issue that had come up.
yeah,
Over the
and
past month.
I was trying to find out about that. I drove around there, you can't see it from the road, so
No.
it's apparently it sits way back, and I haven't had the time, I didn't have Jenny today. I've been out straight trying to do reval stuff at this point, so, I haven't had a chance to do any checking on that. I don't know
Are
anything.
they separate owners?
Yes,
Yes,
So,
yeah, that much we know.
but I was led to believe that the assessor's office hasn't been there in 2 years, or since the building has gone up.
That could be, I mean,
what, the store shop?
No, across the street.
across the street, there's another,
Was there another building out in the back?
Yeah,
it's,
behind maintenance.
it sits in the woods.
The one we can't see, you can only see the gate.
Oh, there is a building back there. I mean, I just,
Yeah, that's my point.
So Al, it's on my list of things to do.
we thinking about it. Whoever is in the power to, we need some ID cards. For us,
Oh, for you guys?
yeah,
Oh, okay,
so that we can, Al and I, Jeff can take a ride out there and check it out.
okay. I had asked, oh God, a while ago, well, way over a year ago, about, we were asked to get ID cards for us. And I spoke with, I wanna say it's 40, that's who I talked to. He's the one that does it, he takes the picture and he makes the little card and everything.
Is that police?
Yeah, and he was gonna do it for me, and he said, yeah, he's got, and I never heard from him. So, and we just never followed up.
Well, they
So-
should follow it up because,
So all 3 want one?
yeah,
Okay, that would make sense. You might have to come in and get your picture taken,
that's
but,
okay.
yeah,
Fine.
so let me try to get that going, cause I need one for myself too.
Yeah.
What were you able to learn about Mission E4 and Zoo Church?
Okay. Mission E4 is, they're still paying,
On the pilot?
on the pilot, even though the pilot's, it's expired. Sandy knows that the selectmen have to create a new pilot agreement, and she says, right now, there's so much going on, it's not gonna happen right now, but she says, it's not an issue as of right now, because they've been paying $1,000 a month. So they're keeping the agreement going, even without a written agreement. They're still paying as if they had the agreement in writing. Now, that being,
That's only a $5,000 minimum, that's a $5,000 maximum.
$1,000 a month is $12,000.
Right, but the pilot is only for $5,000 a year.
Well, she said that she just got a check for
Oh,
$1,000.
I believe that, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that, I'm
Yeah.
just saying that the overall pilot was for $5,000 a year.
Okay.
So they could be paying $1,000 a month, sure, no problem, but
Yeah.
eventually at some point,
All right.
that would stop, right?
About 3 weeks, maybe a month ago, we had a request from a bank lender to forward some of the information, the field card, to them regarding that property. They wouldn't tell us at the time who the borrower was, so there's somebody that's in the process of buying that property and trying to secure a mortgage. And the only reason I say that is because the guy called me asking me for records on it. Now, that being said, that doesn't guarantee we have a sale. I have looked up on several different fronts to find out if the property is still on the market for sale, and everything seems to indicate that it's not on the market right now, which could mean, it may not, but it could mean that it's under agreement. We're just not gonna know until the, and I think I said this before, we're just not gonna know for sure until the deed comes through with the new owner's name on it.
So this department is gonna allow, I mean, all I hear about when I talk or interact with other boards here in the town is we don't have any money. So
Right.
if the pilot has expired and we're honoring the old pilot and not even bringing it up to the current standard, whatever that number might be, technically, this board is allowing the other board to dictate what we do, and we're losing money.
Yeah, but the selectmen is the ones that handle the,
You're gonna have
Yeah.
us sign it like they did last time. They're gonna come across and they're gonna have us over here like they did
What?
the 5 years
From
ago.
the
I
south-
don't remember signing anything.
But I know we had the meeting with them, remember?
I know, but we didn't sign nothing.
The last
I don't
pilot,
know.
the last agreement, it was a 5-year agreement,
Right,
and it was signed, in 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
correct.
Who signed it, selectmen?
The selectmen and, what was the town manager that was here at the time?
Ryan?
Brian Bullock. Brian Bullock signed
Yeah.
it.
So we were out, we
Could
don't have nothing to do with it anyway.
We had a meeting with them and we gave
Yeah,
our opinion.
I couldn't tell you, I wasn't here at the time.
Yeah.
That was,
Well, our opinion don't amount to much, I guess.
Clearly.
well, you know, I guess to your point, Al, if she's getting money coming in, we're not losing that money, okay? It would be nice to have another agreement firmly in place, but I asked her a couple times now about it, and I'm not getting a good answer, only that they're just so out straight, they're not dealing with it right now,
Well,
so.
if it's up in the wind, nobody knows who owns it, Mission East Board's actually selling it, then you can't, cause the new owner
Once-
decides what they're gonna do with the property.
Well, once we have the new owner, then it's gonna make it a lot easier, because then we can
Oh, yeah.
approach the person.
Well, that's why they don't know,
Yeah, I don't
No.
know.
what's with the virtual thingy here?
Okay, so the town has decided that, in an effort to try to reduce what they're paying out, in other words, Jenny's salary,
Now, I got a question for you.
yeah,
With the board, nobody's ever asked us anything about anything, and
I know,
as far as I'm concerned, that can go out the door,
you know what, I'm with you on that,
you know?
I don't like it either.
They don't understand, we're an elected board, we
Yeah.
do have a little power, and if they're gonna do something like that, they should have brought it before the board.
That was an agreement that, basically that was Ryan, I can tell you right now, Ryan
Yeah.
is and he's, where is he?
He's down in Chicopee or something.
Yeah, so,
Ryan's in Carlisle.
Carlisle,
Yeah, I know.
Carlisle.
Close.
That was-
A C, it was a C place, okay?
Yeah, that
One was
worked.
east, one was west, but what the heck?
Ryan had a talk with Dave at Manzello at our company, and Ryan is the one that basically made that decision.
Now this is, the Herald knows that we're probably the only board that cares what goes on.
Yeah.
And we've had that discussion several years ago.
I know,
And they gotta start including us in some of this decision because,
I'm with you on that.
you know, they're not, we do have some power,
Mm-hmm,
you know, and it's like they think the selectmen think whatever they want, but it was the Board of Assessors at the time that actually hired you guys,
right.
you know, and in a sense then, we're kinda,
I know, this happened without me even knowing about it, to be honest with you,
yeah,
so, I don't know.
But isn't this hooked up to your office?
So, the way it works is during the day, it's usually the hours of between the hours of 9 to 3 during the day. If somebody comes in here and they have a question, or they have an issue for the assessors, they basically go on that, click leave a message, and what normally would happen is that message is gonna be read by somebody on the other line right away. That person,
But that person is part of your office.
yes, this,
That person is part of your office.
yeah.
Okay.
The other side of this is actually in Leominster, you know where our office is, right?
Vaguely,
Alright, well, it's downtown Leominster,
yeah, near Monument Square,
Monument Square.
somewhere in that area.
So there's somebody that's on that side of it between the hours of 9 and 3 every day. And how it came about, the way I understand it, is trying to cut back on that, on Jenny's hours again. Now Jenny was supposed to be here tonight to do filing and basic, she's even with that, she's still supposed to be coming in here every once in a while to do papers and
Yeah.
but for some reason she couldn't make it tonight, that's why she
This
said.
is something there too, I mean, they haven't even discussed it with us, her hours or any hours, and that's bullshit.
And,
Yep.
and piggybacking off of what he said, okay, and obviously you're aware of it as much as any of us here on this side of the table.
Yep.
If they're gonna axe her hours or her position because of cost, okay?
Yeah.
Then why are we dragging our feet on probably the Mission E4? Why are we dragging our feet on that and
I know.
saying,
I know.
in 2017 it was worth this, the pilot is expired, 2022, now it's worth this. Okay, I think last time we were here and we talked with you, you had said that the sale, in order to consummate the sale could take anywhere from 12 months to 18 months, maybe 2 years.
If it even comes up,
Right.
if at all.
If at all.
If at all, right.
Exactly. And now, dragging the feet for the select board.
Yeah.
So, should we just go over there and say, okay, we're with the assessors, pilot is expired, this is what we gotta do?
If they're not an active religious thing, then they should be getting taxed at the full value of the property.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying that taxing that at the full value of the property
I am.
is, okay, no, hear me out. I'm not saying that taxing that at the full value of the property could save her position.
No.
What I'm saying is, you know, if
Right.
everybody's giving out pilots, whether it's the solar, whether it's the Mission E4, whether it's the cannabis and everything, and we can't get a clerk here, what, 1 day a week?
It goes back to, it's been going on for years.
Right.
The selectmen think they run the town, or they, you
Well,
know,
technically they do.
and the manager does.
Yeah, well, in
No, but
conjunction, one-
they-
one, yeah. So
been-
you see where I'm coming from on that?
Mhm.
Piggybacking on what he's saying?
Yeah. Well, they gotta, trying to cut
And they must,
her salary to pay for the electrical bill for the sign.
yeah, it could be it too. And if you were unaware of that install,
Well, I saw it when it was going in, I didn't know that they were gonna do it until it happened.
so they're all still in Germany?
He's retired now, isn't he?
Semi, he's trying to, he's trying to. So I get your point, I you know, I understand, it's just,
Well, the thing is, I mean, I'm not the
what I would
smartest-
almost recommend, I mean, this is just me saying this, but it's almost like you guys as the Board of Assessors should make a point of going or getting, when the next select board meeting is coming up, getting that topic of discussion on their agenda.
I think what I'm gonna try and do is check with the, state to see we're an elected board, what's our power as far as dealing with, cause we never had this, when I first got on the board back in the early '80s and right up to, you know, brought you guys in, we hired and fired and whatever,
Right,
you know,
well, it was.
and never had any trouble.
Right,
And, you know, we were actually interviewed you know, we had Visions, we hired them, in the early '90s,
vision,
to come in because things were getting, you know, beyond our time frame.
Yep.
There's part-time people.
Yeah.
And same like with you guys, you know.
Yeah.
And they try to slowly whittle.
And we technically, I don't, from what I gather, having been on the board for the years I've been here, along
Yeah.
with John and now with Jeff, my understanding from reading Mass General Law is that we're an autonomous body, right?
Mhm.
And we don't have to wait for the select board to do our job. So if we wanted, if the board wanted to, do something as far as assessing property, we could do it,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I think that has to do with the budget too.
Yeah, I mean, all the departments have to put in, whether it's the police or the DPW or whatever, they all have to put in what their proposed budget is gonna be, and it's gonna get approved.
Yeah, I know.
So, but you make a good point. I can't disagree.
Now, who pays for that?
I don't even ask for that.
No.
How does that get funded? Excuse me. I
Well, that's
apologize.
just-
How does that get funded?
Well, that's what his question is, and I don't have an answer, I don't know that.
How many towns got those?
This,
Yeah. Rutland have one?
I don't know how many have it, I'd say maybe,
Lancaster?
no, cause we have people that go there regularly. At least a dozen
Yeah.
times, maybe more. But I don't have the exact, cause I don't deal with it on the other end, so I'm really not,
Yeah.
I don't have anything really to do with that.
Well, it must cost a couple of dollars a day to keep it plugged in.
Well, you know, I guess they're thinking, and it's right, wrong, or indifferent, and of course, they didn't ask you guys, but to have that available is cheaper than having Jenny here for, say, 8 hours or 12 hours, I don't know.
No, she works,
People like to talk to people, not a stupid screen, you know.
but you and Jenny work in tandem. You're a team. She knows what you're doing, you know what she's doing, she prepares stuff for you, you provide her with stuff
Right.
that she collates, files, answers questions, assists you, you know, picks up, maybe you got a question or some slack, she could relay a message to you.
Right, and it's,
So it's not like she's off on her own island.
Is she here like Wednesdays, 8 hours?
No.
No?
No, it had been 4 hours once a week. And now it's not even that,
When that stuck?
I don't know, when,
That's
before,
part of that contract.
before Ryan, apparently, we'll have to talk with Harold and Dave and Ryan, because they're the ones that changed everything. Well, the contract probably changed in July, that's probably why. But I have nothing to do with the
Well,
contract.
no, but I'm just saying they're doing things behind our back and not discussing, you know, people
Yep,
wanna come in and talk to a person
yep,
instead of talking on a stupid screen.
Or writing down the question and sending the question and waiting for the answer to come. It could come,
Right.
like you say, it could come in a minute, it could come tomorrow.
Yeah,
So-
normally,
so-
in the old days, when we met every other month, whatever time we met, people made appointments and they come in and talk to the board.
Yep.
We were there and the clerk was there and, you know.
yeah, we don't see that.
No wonder the town's going down the tubes. No, anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Have you heard anything about, now, going back to the marijuana, facilities? facility across the street, again, I'm under the impression, rightly or wrongly, that the building was completed approximately 2 years ago, the one we can't see, not the stove shop,
Yeah.
the one we can't see.
You mean the one on the other side of the street?
Correct. And neither this board
We've never seen it, I've never seen it.
or RRG has never seen it.
Right,
Never measures on it.
Never
it's not
measured
there,
nothing, we have no
not
field
yet
card
tagged,
about
so-
that whatsoever.
there could be a field card, but I don't know as to the accuracy of it. Cause I've never been out there.
Well, who would go out there besides yourself
Yeah,
to take a
If,
picture?
if we had anything that came from the building department to tell us that there was a permit or anything, I would've been me that would've went out there. But I've not seen any building permit or any occupancy permit or anything on that, of that like. In fact, even with this 56 Gardner Road,
yeah,
there is right now, at least 6 or 7 open building permits on that, which leads me to believe that this, even though they may be growing, their renovations is not done yet. So.
um. So is there any way, well, I know you can't, I could, and I will, if you can't. I'll go over there one day next week to the planning board side, which unfortunately, they just hired a new guy, and I'm sure when I say,
Building inspector?
no,
No.
not a building inspector, just a clerk, and say, I'd like to obtain, and we look at the file on that,
On that part.
on the property across the street, in order to determine if there is a building permit that has been taken and filed, that never got forwarded to him,
Right, yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
if it's
Well,
been
and
that
then-
long,
And then if we get that, then I can go with you guys, or we can.
yeah,
whatever.
I would like to go, I would like to go to see this
Yeah.
personally, if you don't mind, I'm sure John
Yeah.
is available, he'd like to do that too, as the
Well, that's what
chairman.
I'm saying.
As the chairman?
Gotta get these ID cards so that,
Right.
you know. People just say, well, you don't have any ID to tell us you're real assessors, you know, and they throw you out the door.
And they legitimately could. Have you ever been told by any other board in town not to get involved with those two properties?
No, nobody said anything not to, it's just that I only take my cue when I get the permits,
Building permit, right.
and then I go out and like all the new construction that, I've taken many days where I've gone out and, double checked the measurements and looked at the blueprints and entered them into the field cards and put the photos in the system.
But are we up to date? There was a select board meeting that took place within the most recent 2 weeks, I believe. And at the time, the owner of the shop, at the stove shop, was asked by a member of the select board if they were up to date in their tax payments. Okay, and he responded something to the effect of, we're a little behind. Okay, and going back to what he said a decade ago, okay, and that's try to treat everybody fairly. If somebody was in arrears on our taxes
Yeah.
for their home, then they don't wanna hear that there's a business in town that's getting a rearage and not being called on the carpet for it by this board or anyone else. So,
Yeah, it goes right to the tax collector.
right, so, I mean,
So if there was an entity that was behind on their taxes though, that would come under Sandy's jurisdiction, not ours, if they were behind on taxes. I mean, we're not the collectors, so
Right.
we don't go,
Yeah, but you would have gotten notified if they were paid, it would show up on our cards, no?
Well,
no, no, that's not what we do.
Okay.
The only time something that drastic would happen, Al, is if it goes into foreclosure and tax title,
Mm-hmm,
and then I would have to assist in there's a certain procedure, through the Department of Revenue that I would help Sandy or whoever, you know, we have to fill out and this takes many years, so it is sometimes 8-10 years before you get a tax title property through.
right.
But that's when we would get involved, not just because they're behind a quarter or half a year or whatever, we don't get involved. That's not the assessor's function.
Okay.
Alright. Mike, you had a question?
Yes, well, this was a good meeting to come to. And George, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but it's to demonstrate a point. Will this system generate meeting minutes?
I don't know, cause I don't.
Oh, okay, I think the
Yeah.
answer is no.
I don't think it would.
And the reason why I say that is what came out tonight is that this is supposed to replace, to at least some extent, that position. And the reason why I'm here, as I came in today to get some information from the assessor's office, and it turns out when I go online to look for the meeting the meeting minutes for the meetings, there's the most current ones were from 2018. I showed George that. Now, granted, he was preparing for this meeting, therefore he didn't. I should have said Mike Stahl, 5 Lombard Road. I apologize for not identifying myself.
That's okay, we know who you are.
Yeah, but the rest of the public may not.
Right,
well, generally, she's been here, she's always taken meeting minutes.
that's right. And she was supposed to be here tonight, and she could have answered that question.
Yeah, it's not a matter of that the meeting minutes weren't taken. It's the matter that the public can't go in and see them, review them.
They weren't posted.
They weren't posted, exactly.
And you may be right.
And I may be looking in the wrong place in the wrong way,
Right.
but, I was able to see other meeting minutes and so on and so forth.
I don't have an answer for that, cause that's not what I do.
Right.
So then, I
That would
also
not-
noticed online that's been published, is the virtual assessor. And that was done in maybe August, George? I think it says August anyhow.
Yeah, something like
So I
that.
went on to give it a try, and George was here today, and I'll demonstrate it for you right now.
Well, it's since been, I went back with them and we think we got it fixed, but you can go ahead and try, but there's
Okay.
nobody there, right? There's nobody on the
No,
other side.
no, it's okay, because remember, it didn't matter, it didn't even let me in.
Right,
So I went in, I went and tried it, leave a message. Oh,
It's up.
look at that. Where the heck, oh, here we go. Come on. Well, you can't even go in and leave one because it's supposed to, hold it in a buffer, and then when somebody's available, then
Yeah.
it'll go in.
Well-
Earlier today, when you open it up, it allows you to leave a message. And if someone's there and available, you could start the dialogue. However, I couldn't even get that far because the fields that you had to enter, a number of them said optional. I filled out the ones that you needed to fill in, and it wouldn't accept it. It gave me a new screen that then said that the items that were in these fields were now required. So we couldn't make any progress.
So let's combine what he just said, and I know this is not your responsibility.
it's not.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But you can convey
Yeah.
the situation to
Right.
whoever's in charge of this
Right.
item, okay? So, as sure as we're sitting here, somebody comes in and they have the problem that Mike just explained to us.
Yep.
They're gonna go either to Sandy or to Bobby.
Yep.
I don't know if they've ever been trained on this. They're not gonna know how to answer anybody's questions.
No, the only thing they would do though,
And it doesn't appear that there are any directions associated with on the table from the company saying, okay, welcome, shake the mouse, it automatically opens,
Right.
blah, 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 here's what you gotta do, you're gonna see this and this and this. There's no directions to it, and they have no knowledge or experience in dealing with it. So now we've got a situation where, instead of accommodating the public and providing them with the tools they need or the information they want, we're setting them back, we're alienating somebody.
And if Jenny or that position was available, like she's done in the past, she'd probably answer my question, and that, you know, the system can go down. Let's say it's running perfectly, you know, eventually you need that face-to-face dialogue on certain issues.
Right.
And granted, that doesn't mean that this wouldn't necessarily be worthwhile.
Right.
It just means that we gotta be careful that that doesn't replace that. Because just publishing the meeting minutes is an example where that position still has.
Well, I don't think
a
the
good-
intention of that was to, you know, I don't think the intention of that was to, you know, post minutes.
Oh, no, they would be redundant, I'm
Yeah,
not even
yeah.
inferring that, I'm trying to do the reverse, I'm trying to say that can't do that and won't do it, whereas that position is still valuable
The intention,
and necessary.
the intention of that is so that when somebody during business hours has a question or an assessor's issue or question, and Jenny's not here, or it's an assessor's issue that I'm not here, they can go on that and they can ask about their excise tax bill, or they can ask about a chapter
Sure.
60. And I would say most of the time, if not all of the time, there always is somebody between those hours on the other end available that they can look that question up and get you an answer right away.
Sure,
Is there bugs in it? Yeah. Is it perfect? No.
okay,
Is it better than not having anybody in the building? Absolutely.
okay.
Should Ryan have gone to John and the board? Yeah.
Yeah, but you've interacted with this more, you've interacted with this more than we have.
I haven't interacted
Well,
with
you're more knowledgeable about it than we are.
Okay.
We've just seen it.
Yeah.
In fact, he's probably more knowledgeable about it than we are, because he
Okay.
tried doing stuff with it today.
Yeah.
Okay? But I'm sure you know, for example, Mr. Young here is in the air conditioning business. Somebody calls him up and says, I've got a problem with my air conditioner. He's gotta ask a certain amount of questions in order for him to get the information that he needs in order to diagnose a problem or get an idea of what the problem could be based on the responses. If the person was just left to their own and sit at the machine and say, I got this problem,
Well-
it might not generate any real response. It might not even give them the answer they
Well,
need
what would
in order to
happen?
accomplish
What would happen? As I understand it, is
Okay.
the person who's on the other end, if he or she had questions to further answer his question,
Yep.
those questions would come right back at you. Well, did you do this, or did you
Oh, okay.
did you return your plates to the registry, or did you? And then
Okay.
you go through all that. Well, what was the cancellation number? And he would have to provide that. Bing, bing, bing. And then she could go on and look it up on her end,
Okay.
and then come back with something.
Okay.
So it's interactive.
Okay.
It's not like you're putting a question out there and it's never gonna come back. There's somebody, it's the next best thing to having a telephone conversation. It's just that you're doing it via text. It's really what it comes
Need
down
one of
to.
those for the town manager.
Huh?
Say we need one of those to replace the selectman and the town manager.
So, going back to this thing then, I know what you're saying is true, and
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
we eventually, we're all gonna end up doing that even in our own private business, our own private life, okay? But why not put in a video cam at the top of that screen then, so that way your person at that end can look at the taxpayer, and the taxpayer can look at the screen and interact,
The original version of this had that,
okay?
and that's what Harold had proposed a couple of years ago. And nobody wanted to pay for it because it was very expensive. So the technology exists. At that point, it was more similar to like a Zoom meeting between two people
Correct.
versus now, it's down to a text conversation between two people,
Right,
and it's less expensive. It's a much less expensive system to run, from what I gather.
okay. When somebody interacts with this at this level, because this can be, for many people, this will probably be a very serious issue regarding their house, their property tax, et cetera, right?
Right.
Financial as well as personal. Do they get a copy of the Q&A that has taken place? Does the software allow for that, so they can come back in
I'm not
the
aware of
following day or week and say, hey, I had this and I'm not sure of it?
I don't know.
That is an excellent question.
It
One-
is.
Hey, you
one
got
that
no
I
proof
had.
of what your questions were.
Exactly, bingo.
Well, that's
Exactly.
why I'm saying, the thing ought to be thrown out, and that's why people wanna talk to people.
I'm with you, I'm not, yeah.
And it may allow for that, because one of the things it requested, and said it was optional, was your email address.
Well,
So
on
it
the
may
first-
have that capability.
On the first screen, Mike, I know what you're saying, and I know I saw it too, okay? But the thing is, if they don't have your email or a phone number, they've got no way to contact you back if they lose the information or they lose the call. So
That's
if
fair.
you're not willing to put that down there, then don't expect an answer back, because they're
No,
not.
that's fine.
That's fair.
That's not about
Right,
getting the answer. This is about getting in, my questions are about getting
Yeah.
into it. What I will do for the board is I will use my own family's property.
No, that's
No,
okay. That's
I
cool.
wanna do
Do
it
it for
because.
yourself.
Right,
Do
but
it for your own.
what I'll do is kind of report back to you
Well, you
what
don't-
I found out,
We
because,
appreciate that.
you know, this is part of the dialogue, how we make improvements.
Yeah.
So you're already working on you'll go back on the agendas and meeting minutes that we weren't able to find today.
Well, those aren't gonna show up on that, you
No,
know
no,
that.
no, no, please,
Oh.
please, George, listen to me. New issue, okay?
all right.
Put this aside. I apologize that I led you astray by asking. My point was
The
to,
town doesn't wanna pay the clerk to take the time to do what you wanna do.
well, not what I want done, what is already a requirement,
By law.
see? So I've already, you know, I can do this on any of the other boards. This is the one that I haven't been able to.
Right.
Now, regarding that, I went in to look at the agendas, and I'm wondering if, now new issue, George, so leave all the others behind so we don't confuse it. When was chapter 61 application reviewed for fiscal year 23?
It would have been last year, last fall, for 23, yeah.
Well, there's no agenda item for it, because the deadline is 1 October of 22 for
Yeah.
fiscal year 23.
Again, that's
So-
a Jenny question.
Well, but isn't she part of your company?
She is, but she handles that end of it.
Well,
I don't-
okay, that's a pretty significant thing for this town. There's a lot of chapter 61 land.
Yes, there is.
And just tell me, is the Stoll family, 5 Lombard Road, was the application approved or denied? We're already in FY 23, so you
Right.
should know
And
that answer.
As you know, Mike, I had that folder pulled tonight.
Right.
She's not here, so I can't give you that answer.
Okay,
All
so your office can't provide that answer?
Jenny can provide that answer, but
Jen-
she's
but-
not here.
Well, I understand, but if she hasn't been here a lot, and that's not pointing fingers, that's just saying, okay, we can't get what I think is a pretty simple answer, and there shouldn't be a single point failure
Right.
for this person. You have a company and an office that should be able to respond to that.
I can try to get a hold of her tomorrow and try to get you that answer.
Okay,
That's all I
good.
can do.
Okay, that's my question.
Okay.
Because it seemed like a pretty easy one.
It is, and I apologize for her not being here. She apologized to me for not being
Sure.
here, but.
No, we all understand. I'm not available all the time, nor do I have all the answers.
Right.
But this seems like a simple process that is, we go through this chapter 61 application and review and approval. Do any of the board remember
It used
members?
to be years ago when you actually had people here.
Yeah,
You don't have that anymore.
sure.
We had a clerk who was here 5 days a week and dealt with people and come in and ask questions.
Does the board review those applications?
Yes.
I think you make a list of them and you pass a resolution on the entire
So,
list. You
as
know,
I
these are
understand
the
it,
approved ones, these are the denied ones.
We actually have a person who specializes in the chapter applications. He goes through and check, most of them are renewals, but
Mhm.
but he also checks for the new ones, and he makes sure that all the criteria for authenticity and everything else is there. And then what happens, as I understand it, an overall cover sheet gets made up that basically that the board will review and sign.
Right.
But basically they're agreeing that the chapter land specialist has already reviewed
Sure.
and gone through everything, and they say, okay, yeah, we agree with you, they're approved,
So,
essentially. So it's a blanket cover.
This is pretty simple. I mean, and you kind of explained that a year ago when I came in, so
Yeah.
that I wasn't ignorant and naive about the
Yeah.
process. But it seems like somebody's memory should say, yeah, we've done FY 23 Chapter 61 application review for, you know, your company
Right.
does the actual reviews,
Right.
but that the board made, you know, passed a resolution or a motion on whether they were the ones that were approved versus the ones that were denied. Because I don't know if, you know, what the results were of your recommendation,
Right.
your company's recommendation.
They're good for what, 10 years, right? If I remember. 61?
61, yeah, with the forestry plan.
Yeah.
That's 10 years.
So that's only,
But
Time
A,
you
but
look at
A
it
and,
again.
and B,
They have to get renewed.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think even forestry, you have to renew your application, but
Every
the
10 years.
forestry plan, I think, it's right over here. I think you make the application annually for all of chapter 61, and I could be wrong,
do
John,
that every 10 years.
but the forestry plan has to be renewed. The forestry plan, not the application. Once again, I could be wrong. You've been
No, I
around
never
doing
heard
this
of it
business a
before.
long time.
Well, I got 200 acres in 61, so.
You got beautiful property in
No.
61. I looked
The
up,
only time I've done it, when I bring the guy in and.
okay,
redo
so
the
you
whole-
don't, but is it the forestry plan? I know that has to be renewed every 10 years. I know that.
Right,
I'm hoping that we're talking the same thing. Forestry plan versus chapter 61 application.
You're talking about the application itself.
Yeah, the application itself.
yeah, you gotta do it a year ahead of time.
Well, annually, 6 months, I guess. October
To get,
to,
when you first get into 61, you have to
or
do it a year
9
ahead.
months in advance.
File a year ahead.
Well, you need to do it October 1st for the following fiscal year.
Right.
And the following
On a
fiscal,
practical, level, doesn't having Ginny here free you up to do more?
of what I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
Yes, exactly,
thank you.
right?
Well, I know, but they keep cutting these, I mean,
So,
I'm
so-
serious, I say we had the clerk here
Yeah,
all the time.
so realistically, it's conceivable that instead of staying on par with goals that you set for yourself and what you want to accomplish in a given day or week, you could be falling behind if coincidentally you get somebody here on the machine on a Wednesday when you should be doing your paperwork. They go to see Bobby or Sandy, they say, oh, you really want to talk to George, and then you have to come out here to tutor them.
Yep.
So we're falling behind. We're not achieving or accomplishing anything by not having somebody to shortstop George. So somebody, like you just said, somebody deals with the public, gives them the answers, gives them a book, take the book, take it home, ba 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 ba. And if he has to come out and deal with the public, Our board is falling behind. That's all I got.
Make a motion to quit.
Yeah, well, we're all still talking to each other. Second.
The,
I'm in favor.
the, I'm gonna be gone from the 25th of October for 2 weeks.
Me too. I'm going to Florida in November.
That's only, that's
I'm
like-
leaving on I'm going November 4th,
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna be back till the 12th.
So should we have a meeting before you guys leave in October?
that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I would think, get something, sign or,
Yeah, I'll have to see what she's got that's coming up that needs to be signed.
and maybe you can find out about these IDs.
Yeah, the thing that I'm focusing on, that I wanna get going, is I wanna get the classification hearing in progress, but they haven't balanced the budget yet. So until they balance the budget, I can't make another move.
Yeah.
The next move is them.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, my guess this year, because they're having a tough time with the budget, that we may not do the classification hearing till sometime right before Thanksgiving. That's my gut feel, and that's happened before,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I'd like to get it done a lot sooner than that, but,
how come they're having such a hard time balancing the budget?
Quabbin School District is charging way more than what the town has.
Oh, when is that? When they have that meeting, special town meeting? Was that the other
Couple
night?
weeks, right?
Yeah,
Couple weeks.
26th,
27?
it's near the end of
I
the
thought
month.
it was, I thought it was this week.
So we should have, yeah, so we should have our meeting before he leaves, and then one after you come back, towards the end of November?
Well, if there's a need to have one, if we have signatures needed and all that, I won't have anything. It'll only be if Jenny has excise, motor vehicle, anything else that needs to be signed. Maybe, well, she might, I don't know if they'll have the chapter applications ready, they could. But October 25th isn't giving them a lot of time to get that done.
Sure,
No.
but maybe we should still start meeting more of a regular basis.
So, I don't know.
Alright.
So we may not have anything to talk about till after you, when do you get back? When did you say you get back?
I'm coming 25th to the 8th of November.
Okay, so I'm coming in a few days after you.
Yeah.
As far as coming back.
No.
Find it, Mike?
Yes,
Is it the applications every year?
Special candidate.
well, it doesn't specifically say, here's what it says, quote unquote. And remember, this is like the synopsis on the timeline, so there may be more words in the law
Okay,
and further in here, but it says landowner submits written chapter 61 application, and then it says with approved 10-year forest management plan. So
Yeah,
I
it's
know
all in
the
one-
plan.
It's all in one shot.
Oh.
I got this, about that thick.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know my dad looked at the forestry run.
Right, I
one,
remember.
And then he decided, no, I'll just put it in 61B.
Right, yeah, 'cause you had that piece of property across the street. I remember that, I remember coming up, I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Well, and
what I,
that, the
I don't
piece,
remember what I did yesterday, but I
you know,
remember that.
well, that's the way my brain works too. Sometimes fortunately, sometimes unfortunately. The piece of property across the street isn't a separate piece of property.
Well, it's all in one,
It's all one with the land, with the road actually bisecting it.
that
But
was
it's not a
brought up for
separate-
discussion also by.
So what do you remember about that? Let's
They-
step
they-
outside.
They try to, plan board or whatever, I think, try to put it off as a separate lot. George, keep
Yeah.
smiling,
alrighty,
but check on those ID things, okay?
yeah, I will.
I think it's Nancy you can get your pictures taken, cause this came up at